Hamish Marshall struck his second 100 of the LV County Championship summer as Gloucestershire batted freely on the second day of their latest game with Hampshire at the Ageas Bowl. The first day was lost to the weather, so both sides were keen to get going on the second morning, which soon saw the in-form Mike Klinger being trapped in front by Hampshire new boy, the Pakistani all-rounder Suhail Tanvir. That was in his first over for the county, and the left-armer, who's represented his country in 2 Test matches, 50 ODIs and 28 T20 matches, was soon making life difficult for all of the Gloucestershire batsmen after they'd been put in by Jimmy Adams. He formed part of a brand new opening pair for Hampshire. The other half of that was Dimitri Mascarenhas, who had Dan Housego dropped in the slips by the normally dependable Liam Dawson. Ball was certainly dominating bat in the early stages on a green pitch. Chris Dent was now fortunate to get away with this. Mascarenhas was included in the championship team for the first time this season, and it took him until his 7th over to strike, Housego going LBW at 41 for 2. All of Gloucestershire's top 4 had scored runs aplenty against Hampshire in the reverse fixture in Bristol last month, but this time they all went fairly cheaply. The in-form Alex Gidman was next to depart as he edged David Balcombe to Dawson, who held on this time. Gloucestershire were now on 56 for 3 just into the second hour, and now they needed a response. Marshall was soon on the move, while Dent, who was back in the side after recovering from a side strain, also looked in good touch as he reeled off a number of pleasing drives as this pair first took their side to 3 figures and then beyond as they added an important 67 runs in 16 overs for the 4th wicket. In spite of those strokes, Dent had to work really hard for his 35 runs. And that's all that he got, as shortly after lunch he gave Suhail Tanvir his 2nd wicket with a nick to Dawson. Marshall, who got this season underway with 149 against Essex in the opening match, has not been able to match that since, but here the 34-year-old former New Zealand batsman looked at his very best as he produced some cracking shots, most notably his thumping square cuts with his bottom hand to the fore. He was, however, good all around the wicket, which helped him reach his 50 for the first time since that opening match, off 97 balls. His partner Benny Howell will have been looking forward to this match as he returned to the county he played for a couple of seasons ago. He was given very few opportunities in the first team at the Ageas Bowl, and with each shot he was proving that he was a better player than Hampshire possibly thought he was at the time. This was a nice moment for the all-rounder as he drove Sean Irvine through the covers to complete his 3rd half-century of the summer. He'd required only the 74 deliveries for this one and had struck 7 fours. He'd also added 106 runs for the 5th wicket with Marshall. Howell would dearly love to have gone on, of course, but 3 balls later he played down the wrong line to Irvine and was bowled at 229 for 5. Gloucestershire have shown a lot of fighting powers this summer and are certainly an improving team, having finished with the wooden spoon last year. Most notably, their batsmen have performed a whole lot better, with a number of them already having hit hundreds. Marshall was now well on his way to his 2nd of the summer. He wasted no time at all in the nervous 90s. Having struck Dawson for a 4, he came down the pitch next ball and hammered the spinner over long off for a 6, which took him to 3 figures for the 22nd time in his career. He'd needed 170 balls for this one, an innings which had contained 11 punishing 4s and that 6. He had by now been joined by the returning Will Gidman, a very useful number 7, and this pair kept the runs coming ahead of the second new ball with yet more boundary 4s. Indeed, there were 34 of them on this day alone. This pair closed in on the 300 with a stand of 60 in 13 overs. Before that second new ball had been claimed, though, Marshall was finally dismissed for 114 when he tried to drive Balcombe off the back foot, only to edge to Dawson, who clung on for the 3rd time in the day. Hampshire would now have been fairly hopeful of getting through the rest with a new cherry, but Gidman Jr. and Gareth Roderick, who opened the innings in Gloucestershire's last match, were able to keep the bowlers at bay for 16 more overs as they frustrated the home attack by adding another 49 runs for the 7th wicket. But that was brought to an end shortly before the close as Gidman nicked Mascarenhas behind to go for 42. But the Gloucesters are still well placed to take maximum batting bonus points off Hampshire for the 2nd time this season. They'll resume on the third morning on 349 for 7 after 96 overs and need a further 51 off 14 to achieve that. That's if they don't get bowled out sooner.